afternoon, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Arsenal Fan Circle. Welcome to the Sunday show. Pull up a chair. You're all welcome here. And we're going to talk about this recent game with Arsenal at the Bridge. Stan, you have it as a Arsenal smash and grab at the Bridge.
Yeah, really. I mean, 67, 70 minutes of that match, by the time I got to that kind of mark on the clock, I think I was kind of resigned that we weren't going to get anything out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I kind of felt at around about when the clock got to that sort of time. I just thought, well, okay, looks like we're going to walk away with 0 points here and have to regroup. So to be able to come away with a point, and in the manner of which we did it, I thought it was very sort of smash and grab for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, I'm going to call the Declan Rice the smash and Leandro Trossard the grab.
Yeah,
Those two goals, because they kind of perfectly describe both goals, right?
Very much so.
Smash and grab.
You look at the first goal that we scored, very much off the run of play, totally unexpected. Sometimes it's goals like that can give you a bit of, well, it gave me as a fan a bit of a lift. So as a player, I mean, I can only imagine, how that affects you.
Yeah, like Rice said, it galvanizes you, gets you to get to you. You have that second wind. You go again. Some of the players who haven't been playing did not play well yesterday. Maybe thought at 2-1 we can get something out of this because Chelsea started to look really rattled toward the end of the game. And probably because of all of the physical effort they put into the first half, first hour of the game, they started to get a little bit tired. And Conor Galagher, the player who was goal side of Declan Rice when Sanchez was playing that ball out, was caught on his feet, tired. In my opinion, he was tired at that point in time, as Chelsea put so much to it. But Stan, we've called for the fans not to expect too much from Declan Rice, and it's good to under promise and over deliver, and that's kind of what Rice is doing for us this season so far.
He's always going to be under the microscope when you pay the amount of money that you have. I think every action is going to be looked at, and he wasn't really covering himself in any glory either for the first part of the match himself.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not getting to his second balls, passes going astray. But I think sometimes in football, a football player is made up of two kind of facets. You've got the technical side, their gifted side, which is their natural ability to be able to have a good first touch, to be able to curl the ball in the back of the net, to be able to time a tackle. But sometimes, that on some days that doesn't work for you. For whatever reason, your first touch is just off.
Mm-hmm.
You try and trap a ball and it's like trying to trap a bag of cement. You're trying to get the ball to your teammates and you're misplacing passes. So the other facet is your heart and your desire.
Mm-hmm.
And I think yesterday, a lot of our players on the technical side of their game, it was just very much lacking. Balls not going to where they're supposed to go, defenders not being able to get the ball back, that kind of side of it. But from what I saw, the players, even though they got themselves in the shit, I think a few seasons ago, maybe 3 seasons ago, 4 seasons ago, Arsenal would have just shrugged their shoulders at that point and gone, oh, well, we're not going to get anything out of this game. Let's try and keep it respectable and we'll go again next week. This team doesn't seem to do that.
No.
This team seems to, when they do find themselves in the shit, they work really, really hard as a unit to try and somehow claw and scratch their way out of it, which is a good trait to have. So the technical side was left a little bit wanting yesterday for me, but the players showed me by the end of the game that mentally they worked really hard as a unit to try and walk away with something.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Rolled up the sleeves. even the players that would admit that didn't have a very good game, Ben White, maybe Erdegaard, Zinchenko, Martinelli, in my opinion, didn't have the greatest of games.
Jesus.
Yeah, Gabriel Jesus. I thought
So many,
Jorginho had
so
a
many
tidy.
passengers as well, and to key players. I mean, I look at a player like Martin Odegaard, and I think to myself, is it because of age? Still a young player, and I think that maybe sometimes with a young player, obviously you can see that the ability is there, but are they going to be lacking in consistency? Are they able to play at their top level each and every week?
Yep.
And I think sometimes that happens with young players. You could even say that for somebody like Martinelli, because generally you may have a couple sprinkled into your team that are quite young, but you've got enough around you where you don't have to play them every week.
Yep.
We've got 5 or 6 players that are kind of quite, young in their years of as being a footballer,
Yep.
and they're a core part of the team. If they're having an off day and we have to take them out, who comes in?
Yeah.
It's not like we've got 1 or 2, and they can play for a couple of games, be taken out, be put on the bench, come off the bench, be rested. They're actually the core part of the team. And so sometimes I think to myself, does that mean that we're going to find ourselves being inconsistent at times?
Yeah, and look, I think I've seen Arsenal fans talking about this team as if all 11 players on the pitch are robots. We have to understand that these are professional human beings. They're really good at their craft, really good at playing football, but they're going to have a bad game here and there.
Just what you were saying about 11 players being robots and that. I was listening to the Liam Brady interview on Arscast.
Mm.
Which is worth a listen if anybody's hasn't listened to it yet. It's well worth a listen. One of the things that he touches on is that back in the early 70s when he was playing for Arsenal, the team consisted of 13, 14 players. That's how many players would travel to a game. Not 23, not 22, 23, 13, 14 players that would play 70 games in a season, and you only had 1 substitute per game.
Only 1 sub.
Only
Wow.
1 substitute per game. That's why you only had a team of 13, 14 players, right?
Yeah.
That's why you only had that as your squad. So they managed to get through it.
Yeah, that's mad when you think about it.
Playing on surfaces that were kind of like fields at some places, not the smooth conditions that you get now.
Yeah, we've come a long way. We've gone. Obviously, I didn't know that back in the 70s, 1 substitute.
Yeah, 1 sub.
When you were saying 13, 14 players, I was thinking, well, at least the 3 guys who came and didn't start the game would at some point get on the field, but only 1
I think
sub.
the number was actually nearer to 13 than it was to 14.
Yeah.
Do you remember back in those days that you'd see a lot of players would wear the shirt 12.
Yep.
And remember as well, you've got to take a substitute goalkeeper. They can't all be out, if you've got if you're only taking 13, 14 players, one of them has to be a keeper.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've gone from 1 substitute in this game to 3 and now 5 substitutes. So, but in this game, I thought Mikel Arteta, to his credit, I got to give credit to Mikel Arteta now in 2 games against Man City and Chelsea. I feel like he's used substitutes pretty well, brought on to the field and had an effect on the game. I don't know where you are on that, but I thought Mikel Arteta made changes that were necessary. He even took Erdegaard off, Martinelli off, Jorginho and Jesus off for Emile Smith-Rowe and Kedia, Trossard and Havertz, and they affected the game.
My only issue is why is Thomas Partey being left on the bench if he's not fit enough to play? I don't know if he is fit enough to play, but that's my first conclusion. But if you're not fit enough to play, why are you taking up space on the bench? Give that to somebody else.
Yeah.
Because, you're looking at that game and, you're going into the second half and I'm thinking to myself, why is Jorginho still on the pitch and Partey isn't? If Partey is available, if he can't play the whole game or whatever, we're into 50 minutes now, 55 minutes, 60 minutes, and there's still no sign of him. So why is he there?
Yeah, and that's something we don't know. We're not privy to. Russ, welcome to the show. Evening, Russ.
And,
We
and,
played
and I
well
don't really have,
10
I don't
minutes.
really have much of a problem with the starting lineup for yesterday. To be fair,
Yeah, I
I
thought
thought
the team was strong,
it was a
Stan.
fairly solid lineup. It's just
Yeah.
unfortunate that a number of the players yesterday, for whatever reason, were not playing at the level that we know that they can.
Yep.
I'll go for a couple of them. I mean, for me, I've never really been a big fan of Zinchenko, as you know. I've mentioned
Mhm.
it a few times on this channel. And to me, he seems like he's declining quickly in what he's been able to give us. You know, I mean, and you saw that yesterday with Mikel Arteta taking them off at half time.
Yeah.
No, this is
We've
a bridge too
always
far.
we've
This
all.
is a bridge too far. He was
Do you want to
thinking.
go one by one, or do you want to name your crew? You know that didn't play well.
Well, yeah, I'd go through the crew really. I mean, that was the
Yeah.
first one. I think Zinchenko was had a terrible time, and he looks to me that he's had a terrible time of late. I don't know whether that's outside distractions. I don't know what it's like to come from a country and you know that your country's at war. Maybe that affects it. But just looking at the football side of it, awful for me. Becoming a waste of space. He's becoming a bit of a calamity, and he's not offering anything defensively. Ben White, nice haircut, nice hair colouring. Must have taken a while to get that done. But again, he wasn't playing to his usual consistent level for me. I've seen him play a lot better than that. You know, and you can't expect a player to play, you know, every single game at their highest level. But it's noted that yesterday Ben White wasn't playing at his usual level. And then the two in between, the centre backs, they weren't playing at their usual level either. Do you know what I mean? So
Yep.
we've got a liability at left back, and the other three, for whatever reason, I've seen them play a lot better.
Yeah.
The remaining three, and yesterday wasn't it. Now behind them, this situation with the goalkeeper. I mean, we've had a little bit of a snapshot now. It's been some games. It's still quite a small snapshot. But if the
Yes.
season ended right here and now, I'd be like, we made a mistake bringing in David Raya. Surely we've created a problem that wasn't there.
Yep.
You know, and I was trying to work out what it could be. And you know, some people are saying, well, for example, last season when David Raya was the number one goalkeeper for Brentford, he kept 2 clean sheets against Chelsea. But is it because he managed to keep clean sheets against Chelsea, but he was playing for Brentford, a team that probably isn't expected to win both of the games or keep clean sheets? You know, it's not like you're Arsenal and you're going into the game knowing, oh, you know, every game's like a title decider. We can't lose against a London team. It adds more pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So even though he's played against the same team, he's played against some of these teams, but in different circumstances as the underdog. Nothing to prove. You feel more natural in your game. You have a better game, and before you know it, you've walked away and kept a clean sheet. Oh, not a bad afternoon for me as a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But you're walking into these Arsenal games now. There's a lot more press. There's a lot more hullabaloo about the significance and the meaning of the games. And maybe he's not quite ready for that spotlight yet.
Right.
You know, he's gone. He's basically gone from Coronation Street stroke EastEnders to Hollywood. Now he's performing. Now he's performing in Hollywood, right, on the bigger stage.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's feeling it.
You can be a little bit. It could be a little bit, maybe a little bit overawed with it all. That's my only reason that I'm thinking about why David Raya is having a bit of what I think is a bad time at the moment. Is because maybe the stage is a bit too big because he's not come from another league. He's played against all of these teams before, but under a different circumstance. Going in as underdogs a lot of the time, or being expected, you know, or where a draw is the right result that you're looking for. You want to get a draw, but maybe you'll get a win. He's going into games now with the top performers as one of the clubs that's expected to challenge Man City for the league. It's a different ball game, right?
Yeah, I have a couple of, based off of what you just said, Stan, I've got a couple of legends and what their phrases were over the years. One was, I think, Thierry Henry. If the shirt is too heavy, then, you know, maybe it's not for you. And the other one's Rocky Rocastle. Remember who you are, what you represent, and who you play for and all that, you know. And
There was
I
another
think
one. I can't remember who said it, but there was something of the words of, you know, the cannon on the shirt can weigh very heavy at times.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So maybe David Raya is feeling that a little bit. These are some of the bigger games that he's played in his career, and we are at the top end of the table. Strikes me that Aaron Ramsdale, and congratulations to him for,
Yeah,
being a father.
his missus has just become a father, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It
Congratulations.
strikes me that Ramsdale is the keeper for the big occasion and the big games, but sometimes gets found out in the games where he's not dialed in as much, maybe with the atmosphere, the quieter games. So, and that's where Raya maybe excels a
Well,
little bit. So,
well, the manager's dug a hole for himself because leading up to the purchase or the loan, I should say, of David Raya, he made that statement, didn't he, that there was a game, I think, last season where he wasn't happy with what the goalkeeper was doing.
yep,
But because he looked at who was on the bench, who he could make a change with, it didn't give him the courage. He used the word, I'm paraphrasing, but I'm fairly spot on it. He said
yeah,
it didn't give him the courage to make a change in the goalkeeping department in game.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
He wanted to do it.
well, I'm looking at what's happening with the keeper that we've brought in, and I know that he could have made an in-game change to Ramsdale yesterday because Ramsdale was absent.
Mhm.
However, he should have the courage to make a change for their next game because he's now got two keepers that give him that security, is what he said, right? So why are you going to keep struggling on with David Raya? Either you're stubborn and he's your number one keeper and you're really willing it to work, so you're going to struggle on with it longer than what you should. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Or you're thinking to yourself, well, it is a fair game. It's a fair fight between Raya and Ramsdale, and only
Competition.
the strongest will survive.
Yep.
Which would mean that based on the last few games, shouldn't shouldn't Ramsdale be given an opportunity?
Yeah.
He's not a Matt Turner, is he? He's not a Carl Hine.
No. No.
You
We
know,
we brought
he,
we
he
brought
he's
in.
he's almost the number one goalkeeper for England.
Yeah, we brought in David Raya for that, to raise the levels, and raise the levels of competition throughout the squad. If there can be
Well, to me,
competition
fucking
on,
lowered the levels. To
if there
me,
can be competition on the field, why not competition between the sticks as well? Stephen here said the only good thing about the Raya situation is that we can send him back and not pay any fee. I definitely would not activate the 40 million clause. But
I
yeah, as
understand.
you say,
I understand I don't think it's an option to buy. I might be wrong, but I understand it's an obligation to buy. It's a done
Mhm.
deal. We've just basically, lay away the money to pay out for next season. There's none of this like, oh, it hasn't quite worked out. See you later. I think come the beginning of next season, Brentford are looking to draw a check on what we give them.
yeah,
So
yeah.
this could be a situation that we're kind of stuck with if
But
there's an
as,
obligation to buy it, which I think there is.
as you say, though, Stan, it is a very small sample, and the end of the
Yeah,
season was not yesterday, so there's definitely room for improvement.
it's a small sample, but I mean, all I'm doing is I'm just looking at the two keepers that I've seen now,
Yeah,
goalkeeping for Arsenal, and for me, I just feel more secure with Ramsdale from what I'm seeing.
yeah, yeah,
I was willing to give David Raya an opportunity. I was just like, oh no, I don't want to see this guy. Who the fuck's this guy? Let's stick with Ramsdale. I'm like, okay, let's go with let's see what the manager's thinking, and let's see. I'm all for an upgrade. I'm
yeah,
all for an upgrade. I'm not too
yeah.
sentimental with players. I try to look at them as units of production. And if you could get a unit of higher production than what you've already got in a position,
What
I'm all
we're
for it. But I ain't seeing it. I'm not seeing it with Raya.
what we're
I'm not
talking about,
seeing it.
Stan, is like 5 or 6 points improvement on last season. Should really make us be very, very close to being number one at the end
I
of the
ain't
year.
seeing that now. I'm not seeing those points gained at the moment. He looks
No,
like
not
to
at
me
the
that
moment.
he's more susceptible to dropping points than Ramsdale is at this
Yeah,
moment in this small
yeah,
sample size.
yeah. And the thing is, as well, when we're potentially as good as Manchester City in terms of points at the end of the day, um, we're looking at fine margins. And I get what you're saying. The finer margin looks to be with Ramsdale right now, and he's playing at a better level, more confident level. Probably has played what Arsenal does 2 seasons and understands the pressures involved in playing for Arsenal. Whereas, like you say, David Raya is new to this club, new to this situation, where he's not fighting in the mid-table. He's fighting right at the top of the table right now. And I think Arteta has asked his goalkeepers to be almost a sweeper keeper. You know what I mean? And a
I'm
little bit
looking at what
further,
BX says, right? BX says, I believe the
further off
goalkeeper.
his line, you
I'm
know?
just looking at what BX has said. He said, I believe the goalkeeping situation is being fueled by fans and the media. City started their backup and nothing was said about it. Well, that's the difference. We haven't got a backup keeper. We've got
That's
two.
true.
We've got two number one keepers. That's the difference.
Yeah. BX, when
So
you look at Ederson and you
he
look at
puts the choice under more scrutiny when you make the choice, and you're expecting a higher result from it.
yeah, when you have a goalkeeper at City and Ederson, you know he's the number one, and you know Ortega's coming in for a game or two here and there, and that's a different situation right now. That's a different situation than what Arsenal have. If we're saying Raya is number one, then Ramsdale can come in and have a game or two. You know, that is the difference. You know, right now they're vying for that number one spot, and everybody, even in the fans' opinion. Stephen said Tom Canton is saying it's an option to buy, not an obligation. Okay.
See, I
We
wouldn't know
shall
that
see.
because I don't listen to Tom Cannon. So
Yeah. It drives me crazy that everyone forgets that we lost Partey and Saliba, who ate our ball progression players at the back. Ramsdale had no one reliable to pass to, so he had to go long. There may be something in that as well last season that we didn't.
well,
We had players like Rob Holding back there, Stan, you know, and
but
maybe
look
that
at
makes you feel like you want to go longer.
I keep hearing about David Raya and his distribution. Well, yesterday he was distributing the ball out of play most of the time, or giving it to Chelsea players when he kicked it long.
Mm-hmm.
All over the show.
And look, the media are going to spin this narrative. We have to be aware of that as well.
But it's a narrative that we've caused. That's the thing. We've caused this narrative. It didn't just like invent it. It didn't cause itself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? David Raya didn't just hatch out of an egg.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We went out of our way to bring in a number one goalkeeper from a Premier League team.
Yeah.
And it's causing for me, it's as I say, I like upgrades, but I'm not seeing him as an upgrade. I'm not seeing him as an upgrade. So then I'm like, well, what are we going to do then?
Yeah, and the goalkeeper narrative will be one. I think there's another narrative at number 9 as well. We can talk about it a little bit later as well at number 9.
We ain't got a number 9, so.
Well, those players who play in that position, you know what I mean? It wasn't a great performance, but the subs came in and did their job.
We were going through the team, right? We've gone through the goalkeeper. We've gone through the defence, basically. We covered the defence, didn't we? We spent a lot of time on the goalkeeper. So let's go into the midfield now. And it was Jorginho and
Rice.
Odegaard and Rice.
Yep.
I mean, Martin Odegaard, who I think is a fantastic player. I think we're lucky to have got him from Real Madrid for the money that we paid for him. But yesterday, man, he was like fucking Claude Rains, wasn't he? And if you don't know who Claude Rains is, for some of you younger people out there, he played the Invisible Man. You know, one of the interpretations.
What?
And that's what he was like yesterday. At one point, I was like, I've not heard anyone even say his name, you know, like the commentary through the TV. I'm not even hearing his name.
Okay, we talking about Odegaard? We're talking about Odegaard, right?
Yeah.
I got a couple of things for you. He was up against Caicedo. So Caicedo probably did a good job in keeping him quiet. And the second thing I would say, Stan, is that unfortunately players do have bad games.
Yeah. You said that at the beginning, and he was one of them yesterday. He had a bad game yesterday.
He was
he was unable to get passes into the right places like he usually does. He was off it yesterday. And it's not the first time that Martin Odegaard has gone missing in the game. As much as I love him, and I do, I think he's a great talent. And this is what I said a little bit earlier, wasn't it? At the beginning, towards the beginning of the broadcast, I'm looking at this and thinking, is it because we have a big group of players who are under the age of 23, as opposed to one or two that can be sprinkled in, put on the bench taken
Yeah.
out, put back in.
27, 28.
The core of
Yeah.
our team is 21, 22, 23 years old. And if they all, and I always think that players at that age, no matter how big their talent, they're going to have some inconsistencies.
Yeah.
And if you get a group of players all being inconsistent on the same day, then it's fucking curtains, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's what
definitely.
happened yesterday. That's what happened. Players were not playing to the level that we know that they can play at. We said that about some of the defence, and you couldn't have gone into midfield, and the same can be said at Martin Odegaard. We've seen him play at that level.
Yeah. I'll come to that in a second, then we'll just keep up with the chat here. Raya is Arteta's guy, so I don't see him getting dropped, unfortunately. I think you're right there, Stephen. The way he congratulated Raya after that performance against City scared me. You know what I mean? City were 2 losses in bounce, and Pep changed it up. He changed the goalkeeper. He didn't. I mean, there was a few other players. Diaz was out. At the end, Brighton could have had a sniff as well of getting a draw. Our midfield wasn't up to snuff. That's a good midfield there, Stan, at Chelsea. Gallagher, Caicedo, and Fernandez.
Our midfield should have been good as well. Odegaard, Rice, Jorginho.
Yep.
Jorginho brings a lot. He brings a lot of experience, right?
Arteta had the players available and chose that lineup. I think I had no problem with the lineup. I think outside of Jorginho, I thought it was a decent lineup.
Yeah,
you would want Partey in there, right?
If you wasn't confident on starting Partey, then I'd want Jorginho in there.
Yeah. So I think we had picked the right team. At the end of the day, you know what it's like if you've played football. You know, you mentioned 2 facets, Stan. The ability of a player, number one, and secondly, you got to have some heart, and you got to have that drive within you to win, as Mikel Arteta says, your individual duels. You know, and we weren't doing that in the first half. We were nowhere to be seen.
We weren't doing it in the second half either. We didn't do anything up until about 77 minutes.
Yeah, true.
77
we did
minutes when Declan Rice scored that goal.
Yeah, I thought we looked a little bit better than the first half, but that's not saying a whole lot.
But we didn't look like we were going to get anything out of it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
You know, I was actually looking for, are we at least going to score a consolation goal? That's where I was.
Yeah.
Are we at least going to score 1 goal here, a consolation goal, or is it literally going to be no clean sheet, no goals?
So we'll go through the goals then shortly. But you want to go through? We talked about midfield. They had Jorginho, Rice, and Odegaard. Odegaard was missing. Maybe Caicedo marked him out of the game, and that's what you're getting for £100 million of talent. Jorginho
got £100 million of talent in Declan Rice, and before his goal, he wasn't having a good day at the office.
No, but
misplaced passes and stuff like that. You know, it was the same as everybody else.
Okay.
Or the multiple of the team. In fact, the only person in the starting 11 who was giving me any hope at all was Martinelli.
Yeah. Now, let me come back to Rice and Caicedo. If Caicedo was having a game like Declan Rice, do you feel like that he would have turned it around in the last 15 minutes? Probably not. I think Rice is that player who does not tell you he's going to give up at any point in time. We saw him last season at West Ham. You know, he turned the game for them against us when he forced that ball away from Partey and got the penalty. You know, so Declan Rice, the kind of player who just pulls up his sleeves and gets to work and keeps going. You know.
Yeah. I mean, up until 77 minutes, I could not see how we were going to get 1 point.
Yeah. Now, I at the 77 minute, I agree with you. I was feeling this game's over. Why I'm watching this, but if anything, they're going to score a third goal because it looked like we were going to go 3-0 down, and I didn't even believe it when Declan Rice latched onto that ball. I was like, where did that come from? You know what I mean?
Again, and that was another mistake by our goalkeeper. It was a goalkeeping error from their goalkeeper.
Yep.
Who tried to play it cute, and he got it straight to Rice, and Rice just responded with a belter. Yeah. And some curl on it as well. You can see the curl on it.
The way he got in front of Conor Galagher and then put the right amount of English on it. You know, the spin, the curl on it, and it just went inside the far post in the onion bag.
It gave me a lift as
What?
a fan watching at home on the
Yeah,
television. So I can
yeah.
only imagine the effect it had on his teammates because it lifted me, and I was sat on the sofa.
He said he's been watching that Beckham documentary, so he was kind of
A lot of people have
watching that the night before about
it as well, right?
the chip from the halfway line. So he was inspired to maybe try that as well in that instance, you know.
I mean, let's look at the Chelsea goals. They got a penalty first of all because we're talking
Yeah,
about our goals already. We were,
yeah,
their goals came first. And
yeah.
for me, when you look at the penalty, I've seen a lot of people talking about that penalty. Yeah, for me, it's quite simple. If it was the other way round, I would have been going, no, that's not a penalty for Chelsea. That's not a penalty for Chelsea. If it was the other way round, I'd have been screaming for a penalty. Therefore, I can't deny it for Chelsea and sit here and go, a soft pen.
Yeah.
Guy's arm was out.
But
penalty. I would have wanted that penalty the other way around.
But you're sitting there, Stan, and you know this is 50-50, right?
Yeah, but if it was the other way around, I'd be screaming for a penalty.
I agree with you. And I would be too.
There's this and there's that.
Yeah.
I'll be screaming for it. So
I would be
therefore,
too.
I can't be too pissed about it when we get it against us. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So yeah, I would be too. But then you just don't know with these referees and how they're going to handle things. VAR recommended they freeze the frame for the referee to go and look. Chris Kavanagh, go to the sideline. They freeze the frame at the point where it's hitting Saliba's arm. I understand Saliba has to have his arm out in terms of trying to dive toward the player and get the ball as well, get his head onto the ball. So his arm was not in an unnatural position. It's just then they were talking about the proximity of the ball to his arm.
I get what you're saying, but if it's the other way around, you're not going to give that explanation for the Chelsea player who had his arm out.
Yeah.
To justify it, you're going to want the penalty. It's as simple as that for me.
I agree with you. So again, I was not surprised when he gave it. Rice was a one-man show yesterday, notwithstanding having a very difficult first 60 minutes. Yes. Where was Wodegaard? Gusto and Sterling exposed any. So you want to go through the second
goal,
the Mudryk one.
Here's my thoughts about that one. I see a lot of people, online and everything, debating. Did he mean it? Did he not mean it? Did he mean it? Did he not mean it? He was lucky, whatever. I just look at it like this. If he was lucky, then it's no different to like finding 50 quid on a £50 note on the street. You're walking along and it's right there.
Mm.
It's yours. Put it in your pocket. You go down a pub or wherever you're going to do with it, you're going to spend it. If you're saying that he was lucky, he still scored the goal. It's a goal.
Yeah.
Whether he meant it go to the back post or what, do you know what I mean? If he can make those kind of mistakes, then fair play to him. If that was a mistake and it resulted in a goal,
you remember?
Again, I'm not gonna try and snatch it away from him or belittle him. It was a goal, and the history books. You look, a year from now, and you go back in the history books, it won't go goal Mudryk in brackets. Not sure if you meant it though. I'm not going to say that.
Yeah, I was thinking about this yesterday as well, and kind of along the same lines of you. Do you remember when Emile Smith-Rowe came into the team on the 26th of December? I think it was maybe 3 years ago, and kick-started the team. We were really bad. It was against Chelsea, and Granit Xhaka had a free kick. He scored. We got a penalty. And then in the second half, Bukayo Saka, something very similar happened with Bukayo Saka. It was a cross, and it went looped over, I think, the Chelsea goalkeeper at the time. We all took it at the time. We all took it as a goal. We enjoyed it. So
what I would say, though, is with that second goal is that, taking the Mudryk side out of it now, what could we have done to prevent it? The goalkeeper could have done a lot more. He was in a terrible starting position.
Yeah.
And, at one point, as the ball left Mudryk's feet, instead of going backwards to try and get the ball, he came forwards. So he's making it even more difficult for himself.
Yeah.
And the ball's coming this way. players going that way.
Yep.
Instead of,
And he's not the
you know,
tallest keeper either.
so
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
he made it difficult for himself because of his positioning.
And
And
I
that is
think
what it is.
this is part of the way we try to play. We try to be a proactive team when we're on the ball. Steven said when Raya was backing up and looked where he was and stopped that far off the line on the Mudryk goal, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. He was nowhere near where he should have been. He was really on the edge of a 6-yard box.
No man's land.
No man's land, exactly. There we go. If Partey is available, we have to play him. We don't know. Maybe we have to be very careful about Partey as well. Bargav, welcome. I am relieved to keep our unbeaten streak versus Chelsea going. Sharks were circling banter-wise. That's 5 unbeaten now at Stamford Bridge. 2 draws either side of 3 wins before that.
When we scored our second goal and it was 2-2, I was like, we could actually get a winner here.
Yeah.
We could literally get 3 points. I wasn't like, okay, look up shop, let's have what we hold. I was like, we could actually properly snatch it, all 3 points, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah, and BX we were all thinking we were going to lose BX. So listen, as much as Declan Rice had a bad first 65, 70 minutes, the way he's able to break up, the way he's the best in Europe in terms of midfield, anticipating things going to happen and seizing on them for transitions. He just chose to take this shot, and it was a perfect. If you play golf, it was perfect. Wedge shot? Let's say. You know what I mean?
So that's the midfield. We've kind of discussed the midfield. Now we've got 3 players left. Our attack.
Yes.
And we actually had an opportunity to field the 3, which I would believe is probably considered our most strongest.
Yep.
First choice.
Yep.
Triumvirate of attack.
Yep.
And let's go through it. I mean, I thought, as I mentioned earlier, Martinelli for the first 50, 60 minutes was the one player who could, if you're going to bollock the team, you could tell Martinelli to wait outside. He doesn't need to hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're excluded from this bollocking, Gabriel Martinelli. Go get yourself some
orange juice. I'm going to rip these lot a new arsehole. You know what I mean? Take your time.
I think we've all been in that situation where we haven't done anything, but maybe at school you're going to get a bollocking. Everyone else getting a bollocking from the teacher. But yeah, Bargaff, I'm not sure about Palmer being better than Odegaard, but just my opinion. Yeah, Martinelli was good. He always has that threat about him. He was up
trying
against
to make things happen, trying to be direct, trying to play his teammates in. So he had a good day at the office. He tried. He was giving his all. So let's look at the other 2 now. See, I know that people say that Saka looked off of it and that, but he's carrying an injury, we've been told. He's been carrying an injury through from last season. So that's always going to be in the back of my mind that, he's not playing anywhere near to being 100% fit because he's got an Achilles problem that he's had since the end of last week. They told us, didn't they, at the beginning of the season?
Yeah.
Which for me was like, so then why wasn't he sent to a local medical facility in the summer where they could have worked on it? He didn't have to have a pre-season. He could have worked on it, but now they let him go off to play for England instead. They should have said, okay, the season's finished. Let's get you on a treatment table and fix this problem. Now we've kind of got a player that's kind of like stop starting and hobbling off at the end of games and stuff, and it's quite concerning for me.
Now, Cucurella played him very physically. A lot of fullbacks.
He always does.
A lot of fullbacks play Saka physically, because they feel that's the only way to deal with him is to kick him and make him fall down. Because when he feels contact, rightly so, he's gonna go to the ground and get that free kick. But there was occasions where Bukayo Saka got some of his own back. You know what I mean? Was able to get past him. Was able to produce something. And at the end of the day, he comes away with an assist as well, Stan.
Yeah. But
Saka.
as I'm with Misfit, he's never going to be where anywhere near where he should be with that Achilles problem. So he's going to, you're going to get games where it's going to be like, fucking hell, Saka didn't do anything today, or he was really off of it today. It's going to happen because he's not comfortable. So again, people talk about high risk, high reward. Well, this is a high risk. Your best player, and you've not put him on the treatment table. You're making him play through the pain barrier. It's not a good recipe. Still a long way to go in this season. So let's see let's see where we go with Saka. It's like a bit of a minefield. It's like we're taking each game at a time. And, we're watching the games when we've kind of got one finger behind our back, one hand behind our back with our fingers crossed, hoping to get through 90 minutes and that is available for the next one.
Yeah.
That he ain't going to get stretchered off.
And let's not forget.
Neymar style, and we're going to be told, oh, he's out for 6-7 months.
And I know some people say Reece Nelson can't play on the right wing, but Reece Nelson could come in, and Gabriel Jesus, who played on the right against City, could play out there as well. We do not have to persist with Bukayo Saka.
You're playing Eddie, didn't you? You're playing, and then that's another story altogether. But I mean,
we'll get to the nines. Don't worry, we'll get to the nines.
Well, we're there now. We've basically we've done 2 out of the 3 of the attack. So the last one is the guy that's allegedly playing through the middle as our number 9. And there's so much. There's so much. I'm going to keep it short and sweet with Gabriel Jesus. There's so much to like about his game because he does so much in so many different places on the pitch, which for a striker or a number 9 is quite an eye opener. That he's able to get himself into so many different places and help out on the defensive side of the game as well, and start transitions going. And even when he does that, which is kind of like Lacazette was doing a bit of that before, he's got the athleticism, though, Gabriel Jesus, to then find himself back into the danger zone, i.e. the penalty box. He does all of this stuff all over the pitch, but he always manages to get himself into the danger zone, ready to pounce and strike. But then herein lies the problem. He gets these opportunities to pounce and strike, and he puts it fucking wide. Or he hits the fucking crossbar.
Doesn't take him. Yeah.
He doesn't fucking finish the chances. And he gets a lot of chances. It's not like he's not getting any chances, and he's not getting any service. He's getting, for me, bags of service. This guy seems to need 5 or 6 chances to score 1. And that ain't enough. That is not enough for a team like Arsenal who's trying to catch Man City and win the big one. You need to have someone that puts their chances away. They cannot rely on getting 5 or 6 chances to tuck away 1. And this is becoming the problem with Jesus. And he's been with us a while now. Yes, he's had some injuries and that. He's had some injuries. And we've seen him score some good goals, like the one against Man United, where, the defender, the defender went sliding on by, and he started and took it round the keeper and showed great confidence and belief in his ability to put that away. But we don't see enough of that. He gets far more easier chances, which he makes pig's ears out of.
Yeah.
And I'm getting to the stage where, and it's like this, right? You can't say this in a lot of places because, there's a lot of people out there that will not allow you to critique Arsenal in any shape or form. Anywhere in the team that might be lacking or could be improved, or we're finding problems, there are some people out there that if you bring up these things to discuss them, like you and I are, and we try to be very critical about it, it's almost like blasphemy. Blasphemy. Look at this heretic. Look at this heretic doubting a Mikel Arteta substitution or
Gabriel Jesus
doubting a Mikel Arteta purchase. He's a heretic. But this is life. And at the moment, I'm sorry, but Gabriel Jesus is not doing what we need at the moment.
No,
and if he'd done everything that I said a minute ago, that all those good things that he's doing in his game, if he was putting those chances away, guess what? He'd still be at Man City.
Yeah.
He would still be at Man City if he was doing all of those things that he does and converting more chances. They may have not. They probably could have even afforded to overlook Haaland because he would be doing it, but he ain't. And
Well, they need it.
And just to round off before we welcome in Alonso, I would like to say that I would like Gabriel Jesus to be in Eddie's position. I want someone else getting the limelight. I want someone else getting the minutes now, and I want Gabriel to be either coming off the bench, rotating with Saka, or rotating with a number 9, playing certain games to take the other player out of it. I want it. Do you know what I mean? I don't want him to be the main man anymore because he ain't up to it. So welcome, Alonso.
Yeah. Welcome, Alonso. And Stan, before I go to Alonso will get settled in. Stan, do you think, and then I'll go to Alonso with this, do you think it's fair to ask Gabriel Jesus to score 15 goals in a Premier League season for Arsenal?
Yes, I'll tell you why it's fair, because as I've mentioned, he's getting the chances and the service.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting 5 or 6. You know, that's what the numbers are. 6 chances, 1 goal.
Don't give me 20, but 15 I think is reasonable.
Ratio. So if he was able to score, if he was getting 6 chances and he was closing his deals at 50%.
Yeah.
Going through, I mean, hello.
Even one in 3 even.
You could even improve on that, but I mean, if you're at least getting 3 out of 6, hello.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think 15 is a realistic target for Gabriel Jesus for a whole season if he remains fit for the whole season. Alonso, where do you stand on Gabriel Jesus?
Well, it's funny you guys mentioned that because I was just having lunch with my mom's friends. Well, my friend too. They just came up from London watching the City game, and we were talking about Jesus in that conversation, and we were talking about how much him and Zinchenko both came from City, and there's a reason why they no longer wanted them.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like every time they lose too much or it goes around to go take a nap or something like that, right? So it's really frustrating because we got them wanting them to do different things on the pitch, which is play better defensively or score more goals when they're given an opportunity. And like Stan was saying, he's been given all this opportunity in the world to score, yet he hasn't done it for me. At least in Kadia's case, he does. He has had chances, but at least he's trying to score. Which to me, is kind of showing how Kadia is able to take those chances, even at a score, but at least he's trying. Whereas Jesus, he just doesn't do it for me anymore. And there's a reason why City just gave up on them and not wanting to do the job to me. For me, at least.
Yeah, look, I agree with what you're saying, Alonso. He hasn't quite lit up the stage either. It seems like at the end of the day, his record seems to be similar to Eddie and Nketiah's, at least over these first 9 or 10 Premier League games. They have about the same amount of goals. But we view them in very different ways. Eddie Nketiah and Gabriel Jesus as being different players, but their stats at the end of the day are very similar. The amount of goals and assists they give us. Now I'm going to throw a monkey in the wrench here, a wrench in the works here, and say, what about Havertz in that position?
Yeah, I would like having it as well. I think Havertz offers the size. Though I think the last 2 games he's come off the bench, he's done a pretty decent job of doing his job, and that's to get assists in there or what have you. And he's doing little things right, I guess. It takes a while for him to get used to get along with a new team. I understand that. So it's going to take some time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially coming from Chelsea, which wasn't really the greatest thing in the world for him to be at. So I think he has a little bit of time to adjust. So I think people do tend to get impatient. Seems like so. I'm willing to give him a whole year to see what it comes about, and I hope it gets better for him. But he's capable of doing a good job and redeeming himself.
Yeah, Stan, do you think? I think Alonso and I are sort of heading to the realization that maybe Havertz might be more useful to us in that position up front.
Yeah, but I
Number
still
9.
think that would just be putting sellotape over the holes in the bottom of the boat. It's not the answer. It's not like, yeah, play Havertz there, but don't have to buy anyone else.
Is he the best of the 3 options we have?
I don't know, because I've not seen enough of it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? If we're going to do that, then he needs to be starting games and be given at least 65 minutes in a game before he's hooked to see what he's going to give us. And we're not seeing that. He's coming in off the bench. He's coming in off the bench, and in the Man City game, he looked better. He looked actually better than what we had yesterday, didn't he? When he came on. Yeah. However, we've still not seen the goals or the assists, really, have we?
No, he's got one of each.
Yeah.
Right now.
So, again, is that enough? I mean, I look at it this way, right? Imagine if you had games. I mean, you look at other teams, right, and you look at what their options are. Julian Alvarez.
Yep.
Julian Alvarez could be a start. He could walk into any team in the Premier League and lead the line, and he's like, But at Man City, he's got to get past a Haaland. But we haven't got anyone like Julian Alvarez. He's supposed to be like a backup kind of a guy who's getting a lot of games now, maybe because of De Bruyne being out and Rodri, whoever. But you see him play, you look at him as a threat, don't you? You see him on the lineup, you think, oh, there could be goals coming from there. There's a threat. You don't really think that about Eddie, Havertz, or Gabriel Jesus. You don't see a team sheet with any of them and think, oh, yeah, that's where we might have to, watch that guy. He could get a brace. He might get a brace today. You don't think that. You don't think that with our 3. And that's not scare. And that's not a good place to be in, because if we're not thinking of them like that as fans, then guess what? The opposition aren't when they see the team sheets go up, and maybe they rub their hands together.
Yeah. I think, and the opposition have keyed in on Ødegaard, Saka, and Martinelli now as the 3 threats to take care of. And that number 9 is not really scaring people.
Yeah, because they're thinking to themselves, we don't have to really overmark Jesus. He needs 6 chances just to score 1 anyway.
Yep.
They must think like this. They must think like this.
It's all about percentages. As a manager or as a team, you worry about the player who's going to cause you the most damage, and you take your risk of a midfielder taking a 25-yard shot from distance, because that's a lower percentage one. BX said Havertz set up Saka, who set up Trossard for the goal. So at that point in the 85th minute, I think Chelsea were tiring, and we were on top of them so much so we thought we could maybe get the winner here. But at the end of the day, I'm happy with taking a point, because it looked like we weren't going to get anything from this game.
It was almost one of them ones where when the final whistle blew, you expect to see the Arsenal manager standing on the side of the pitch going, right, come on everyone, don't bother getting changed, straight through the tunnel, straight out the back, on the coach, and let's go home.
Yeah, let's go home. Give me that
no
point.
No shower, no getting changed, no fucking players, lad. Just we snatched the point, get on the fucking coach before they realise what we've done, and let's get the fuck out of it. It's that kind of atmosphere, weren't it? That's why I call it a smash and a grab. It was like, fucking hell, right, let's get out of here.
Definitely. Stephen said it doesn't matter what we think of Jesus, because we're going to be able to buy anyone because we are going to be able to buy anyone because of financial fair play. We would have to sell a boatload of players to do anything in January. So we'll see what happens there. Havertz looks better at the 9 than left 8, but how does that affect our press? We know our press suffers when Eddie plays in the middle. I would settle for being more effective up front.
Imagine if we had another 9. Maybe, let's say, let's pull 2 names out of the air. A Vlahovic or a Osimhen. Let's say, for example, playing in that position. Because of the way Gabriel Jesus plays, as we mentioned, he comes very deep. He's good at being like a little bit of a terrier. bit like Torreira used to be, like getting in there, trying to win balls back and put out fires. He does that part of his game, right? Why couldn't we have someone like a Vlahovic? We use the same formation. We have a Vlahovic or an Osimhen playing as the 9. Why can't Jesus play as the left 8? He comes deep anyway. He's got a knack for putting players through. He knows where the net is. He can score, although he's not prolific. And he comes deep and gets involved in winning the ball back.
Yeah, I would not like Jesus.
Why can't he do what Havertz has been charged to do? Why can't he be tried there with another striker ahead of him?
I don't know.
Not Eddie, but someone else.
He's seen as a number 9 as a forward player. I don't think he could play that left 8 position.
Because he's so deep anyway, and gets in those channels. I just thought, well, maybe that could be. It's a bit out of the bag. It's a bit left field, But so was playing Thomas Partey at right back. So was playing Ben White at right back. So was playing Yuri and Timber at left back. He never played there before. So we're not adverse to trying things. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Now
it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, we can rip it up and pretend that we never tried it.
I think Emile Smith-Rowe came on in the 67th minute. He's one of the first subs coming on alongside Eddie Nketiah when Jesus and Jorginho come off. Could we be so? There's two ways of thinking. We're going to give him some minutes here. Okay, we're losing the game, but we're going to give Emile Smith-Rowe some minutes, or we're going to have a look at him at that left 8 position because now Rice is playing at number 6.
Or maybe we're just showcasing him for that very big sale in January.
Maybe. But I think Emile Smith-Rowe could force his way into that left 8 position, which would make Tony quite happy, So I thought he came on and looked bright, Alonso. What do you think about Emile Smith-Rowe when he came on for those 20, 30 minutes?
Yeah, he's very active, of course. I do fancy Emile Smith-Rowe. I hope that he does make it. I think that Arteta has a knack for having to try to reintroduce players very slowly. But I think Emile Smith-Rowe is dying to play. I think he wants to play. I think Arteta's holding him back for some reason. But yeah, I mean, I think he's more than capable of playing that left 8 role. And like Sam was saying, that Arteta has always been used to, changing players' positions around, to just try things out. I think he's done it. He's doing it at inconvenient times sometimes, but that's the risk I have to take. But yeah, I do think that Emile Smith-Rowe selling him would be a huge mistake. I still think he has a future at Arsenal. But he has to learn how he has to fight for positioning. But he's very talented, and if we let him go, it'd be a real shame.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you. I like Emile Smith-Rowe. I've always liked him, and I hope that he can continue his Arsenal career. I do have the fear that Stan and you have mentioned. He could be, getting prepared to be sold. I think Newcastle are the latest team who are being interested in him. But nevertheless, I'd like to see him come into the team. And Fabio Vieira, Teabag, may have been injured. He didn't make the squad yesterday. So we'll have to find out what's going on with him in due course. But I'd like to see Emile Smith-Rowe get a look in the next few games coming up. And we're going to talk about the next game coming up in Sevilla in a few minutes. So we want to put the bow tie on this Chelsea game as well. Look, we have a sequence here, Alonso. 2 wins and a draw, 2 wins and a draw. And then we finish out the last 3 games with 2 wins and a draw. And I think last season, coming up to the World Cup, when it started, it was 14 games and we had won 12, drew 1 and lost 1. So we dropped 5 points in those 14 games. To do the same thing, we'd have to go another 5 games and win all 5 of them, maybe. to have only 6 points dropped. It's not critical, but we still would like to get 4 wins and a draw maybe in the next 5 games. But I think we're chugging along pretty well here. 6 wins and 3 draws. We cannot keep drawing too many games and dropping too many points. We have an opportunity in the next 5 games to pick up some real points. We got Sheffield United next weekend. Let me put this up on the screen. Is here. We go to Sevilla. We got Sheffield United, West Ham in the cup, and then Newcastle away before we face Burnley at home. So Alonso, we have to go now and win quite a few games now in the next 4 or 5 games in the league.
Yeah, I believe it's the weakest point of the season where we can make up points. If that were the case, I think they're all winnable games. But as you know, sometimes those teams, those lower tier teams, can keep up on Arsenal and give them a game. They've done it in the past, so that's my only worry is that we get that's physical, and they don't control the game, the games, and the other teams try to get back in the game. But yeah, I think I wonder what Tottenham's schedule is because it seems like they have an easier start of the season than Arsenal. Though I think that they'll probably tumble at some point of the season. With that said, I think the schedule favors us more so than it do them and City. We got to take advantage of the schedule coming up the next couple of games, next round of games.
Yeah.
But
They're
of course,
very winnable games, Alonso, aside from going to Newcastle early next month away from home.
that game always worries me because it's at their place. And they're always known to bully our players also. So that game has always been physical. They got taller players, of course, and we all know that we don't have the tallest of front lines. Though, if I were to experiment with Havertz being the only striker, this game would be it.
Yeah. I think yesterday was a case of Chelsea getting a little bit better, but we definitely played down to their levels, Stan, just to finish out on the Chelsea game. We didn't play well at all, but we still were good enough to get 2 goals and get out of there with that point in a smash and grab. Very much a smash and grab at the bridge, Stan.
Yeah, and as we're just finishing going through the team and the goals, let's look at Trossard.
Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
always felt that he seems to have more impact coming off the bench than he does as a starter.
I'd like him to start games though. We are very big fans of Trossard here.
But when we've started him, he's not looked as impactful.
Yeah.
As he does when he comes off the bench,
Yeah.
He seems to give the team a bit of a lift when he comes off the bench.
Yeah.
And when I saw him come on, all I was thinking was, get the ball to Trossard. Get the ball to Trossard. He can make things happen. And sure enough, he's there for that second goal.
Yeah, Trossard, I'm so happy we bought him. He's a great player. He's got great vision, and he's able to sniff out a goal here and there. And very important in the context of the whole season. This point could be very important for us when we're tallying everything up at the end of the season. Question here from Stephen, and then we'll have a quick word about Sevilla and get out of here in about 10 minutes. Stephen said, "Ray."
Because Trossard has also played as a false 9. He's done it for Brighton. Right?
Yeah.
If you played Trossard for 10 games in that position and you played Jesus in that position for 10 games, who do you think would have more goal scoring involvements?
I unfortunately think Gabriel Jesus would have more.
Yeah.
So I think Trossard would probably withdraw enough to try to feed Saka and Martinelli on the wings. You know what I mean? Whereas Jesus will probably try to take the more shots than Trossard would. I think we want Trossard to be more greedy in a way, take those shots, have those assists. The same way Erdegaard was last season, and maybe teams are planning against Erdegaard as well this season as well after what he did last season. You know. So
yeah, I agree.
here's the question: how do you think the fans would react if we went undefeated but still lose the title? With how good City are, it's a possibility. So I think I saw this somewhere else as well today. To be undefeated, Stan, but still not win the title, it probably doesn't mean as much, right?
Just means you've had too many draws.
You had too many draws, exactly. And that's where we are right now. We're on the same points. We're sitting on the same amount of points as City, because City have lost 2 games and we've drawn 3. We've dropped the same amount of points each. And tomorrow we have an opportunity. Tottenham have an opportunity to go back on top of the league if they can win at Fulham, you know. But Alonso, what do you think? How do you think the fans would react? I don't think they would be that happy about being undefeated, but not first place.
Yeah, I remember whenever the Invincibles went undefeated and they City United were second place, right? And it was that close where they could have won the title. But luckily, Arsenal held on. If we drew a lot and went undefeated, that means we weren't good enough.
Yes.
And we came up short because either we weren't defending or we didn't score enough goals. That's what it comes down to.
Yep.
That being said, I think coming back in second place with the team we have now, that would not be happy. I would not be happy. But if you came in second,
yep.
That every a tough pill to swallow because we made improvement to our team to be in first place or be title contenders. Though on the flip side of that, we are in Champions League now, so that may be okay if we do good in Champions League too. That would be my only validation if that were the case. If City won and we were undefeated and we were successful in Champions League, meaning we were runner up or if we won the whole thing. So that's also something to consider too.
Yeah, we're in a situation this season where we have to try to manage 4 competitions. Maybe we're going to jettison one of the cup competitions. Who knows? But I hope we can go further when we play West Ham in the Carabao Cup and get to that next stage, which would be a quarterfinal. As you say, Alonso, we have to sustain ourselves through these competitions. It's all about maintaining your league form as you get out of these Champions League groups and qualify through your Champions League group into the spring. And then you have a number of games in December, January, and February where you can forge ahead in the league and try to maintain a strong position in the league before the Champions League comes back in as well. I think we're going to talk about the Tony Don Juan man in the match. And for me, it's got to be Declan Rice. We were heading for a defeat yesterday, but for him, and listen, he's the first, I think, to hold his hands up and say he didn't play very well either. But he took that chance very, very well. We were all resigning ourselves to a defeat of some sort, 2-0, 3-0, 3-1. Maybe we got a consolation at the end. But at the end of the day, we can look back at this stand and say we got a 2-2 draw because Declan Rice refused to know what defeat, to accept defeat, And we had an assassin in Trossard who stole the point for us.
Goals like the one that Declan Rice scored remind me of many, many, many seasons ago. And I think it might have been against Tottenham. I might be wrong. But it was Bukayo Saka. We were in a game where we were playing quite bad, quite badly. People weren't off it. Players weren't playing to their usual level. And then out of nowhere, our right back comes up with a beautiful goal. And it's one of those, it's one of those like, I've had enough of this. If no one else is going to do it, I suppose I'll fucking well have to. And then you step up and bang a goal in, and you just look at everybody else in your team, and it lifts everybody.
Yep, exactly.
It's far better doing that, isn't it, than sort of like getting people into a huddle and telling people what they're going to do, and then you're the first person to misplace the pass after the huddle. You're the one that's shouting the odds of that, and then you get the ball. So sometimes you just lead by your actions, and that it kind of reminded me of that kind of mindset.
So in a game where nobody really played very well, Stan, and we've gone through the team in depth now, who's your man in the match from yesterday?
Probably will have to be Declan Rice, because I think he helped change the attitude. For the Arsenal, from the Arsenal side, and that gave us a lift. But I also felt that up until that point, the only player from the starting 11 who was really worth anything for much of it was Martinelli. Even though he didn't get a result, he was still trying to. He was playing at the level that we used to.
Let me say this one thing: Declan Rice and Martinelli are two players who will not hide. They will keep playing. Whether it comes off for them or not, they will keep playing and keep trying. So I think Martinelli and Declan Rice are very similar players in that respect. Alonso, you get 2 votes up here for Declan Rice. What have you got for man of the match?
I would say Declan Rice, but also Trossard. I think the way he came in and got that goal was pretty cool. But Declan Rice, played a complete. He didn't stop working where other players did stop working. So I give it Declan Rice as well. I thought that his performance in the second half got better. And I think that goal was brilliant. That goal was amazing.
Yeah.
And sort of class on that goal as well. So I give it Declan Rice as well.
Yeah, I mean, he could try that 10 times and only get it once. You know what I mean? It was that kind of goal. I thought against Lens, we lost against Lens to 2 really good goals. I think we drew against Chelsea because we conceded 2 poor goals through the officials and through some bad luck. But we're going to give it to Mudryk as well a little bit for that effort. Stan, I think who's the goalkeeper going to be for Sevilla? Because I think Ramsdale should take the Premier League game at the weekend. So keep Raya in goal for Sevilla. That's my vote.
I don't know how much, I don't know how much Ramsdale has got time off.
Yeah.
I don't know when he's expected to be back, but he probably doesn't want to be away any longer than he needs to be, because he's fighting for a place, right?
Yeah. No, I think he should be back available tomorrow, maybe. You know what I mean? AFC always for 80 minutes we were horrendous, and we turned it on for 10 or 15 minutes. We cannot do that each and every game, so we have to put this one down as a bad performance, and we got to wait.
I keep wondering to myself as well, had Aaron Ramsdale been on the bench yesterday, would he have stuck with Raya, or would he have had the courage, as he said before, to have made the change?
You see that's a tricky thing now. Would he have had the courage to admit that he was maybe wrong after picking Raya to be number 1? I don't think he would have changed. I don't think we're going to see that goalkeeper change.
I don't think Arteta would ever admit to a mistake like that.
Yeah. It's a pretty big.
He took off Zinchenko.
It would take balls. It would take some big balls to do that.
He's done it to Tavares, Zinchenko.
Look, I think Zinchenko, we miss him when he doesn't play. So
I don't.
I continue on. I'm like, man, see you later, God.
But when he's not in the team, we miss something in the team when he's not there. But I understand he is a liability at the back. We know he's not a defender, and we're asking a creative midfielder to be a defender, playing in that position as well. So Tomiyasu is coming more and more to the fore in these games, and I would probably start Tomiyasu in Seville as well. Alonso, where would you go with your left back? And so, okay, I'm asking Stan and Alonso, who would definitely pick Tomiyasu, right?
Tomiyasu, man. I think Tomiyasu is on form right now. I've always thought very highly of him.
Yeah.
And so it's a shame he's been hurt. But yeah, Zinchenko should never be starting for Arsenal ever again.
Yeah.
I just
I
don't get
think
it with Zinchenko, right? Because he's
Hmm.
not very good at the defending part. When we start him
Yeah.
as a left back,
Yeah.
and he goes into midfield, but then he's not a very good midfielder because we've never started Tierney or Tomiyasu as a left back and thought, okay, let's put Zinchenko in the midfield. Let's take away that defensive part and put him into the midfield. He's never done that. So
Yeah.
what
He
is
sees him
it?
in-
What is he good at? He's
He
not very good
sees
at defending, and
so
he's not.
Mikel
He's
sees him as
not
that.
thought of to be a starting midfielder. So I don't get it.
He sees him as that inverted fullback who can go into midfield.
Oh,
That's where Mikel sees him. I mean, he's pigeonholed, right? So yeah, Stan. If Ramsdale is okay, Tomiyasu definitely starts for you against Sevilla. But
yeah.
who's your goalkeeper if they're both available on Tuesday? And I know it's a quick turnaround, 48 hours from now. Would you go with David Raya and then give Ramsdale Sheffield? You know, Sheffield United. He might give that game to Ramsdale because he used to play for Sheffield United.
Why can't Ramsdale play both?
Well, I don't think it's
like we would do if we had like a Ramsdale and say a Matt Turner.
I don't think that's going to happen to you.
Ramsdale if he was able to play both games, wouldn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know,
I'm actually convinced myself now to say he's going to give Ramsdale the Sheffield United game on the week next Saturday. You know, and Raya is going to start against Sevilla. Anything else to say? Really, this is a pivotal game in the Champions League against Sevilla. We could really take control of the destination of the group here. If we lose, it's not going to look. We're going to have to win probably all of our games if we lose.
So then you just highlighted the importance of this game. Then would you not go with your best players in positions and best keepers? And for me, at the moment, I prefer Ramsdale.
Okay. Arteta probably prefers Raya, to be honest. Partey may come in. Probably Partey is going to play in midfield with Declan Rice and Odegaard up front. So I would like us to go strong on Tuesday night against Sevilla because PSV will be playing Lens, and this is an important game in the Champions League, and it'll probably decide who's going to come, if we're going to come first or second in this group. You know, and coming first or second in the group will be most important. Let's get a few comments and then we will get out of here. Okay. If Odegaard can't turn up for the big and important games, how can he remain as club captain? I think he had a poor game, but over the course of a season, he's going to have probably more games than bad, in my opinion. And every players do have bad games. Rice as man of the match. The part that passes me off the most is Chelsea were not that good. They were there for the taking. True. And it's Pochettino, you know. I'd play Ramsdale in both games, but we know that won't happen because Raya is Arteta's guy. Tomiyasu should have started instead of Zinchenko. He should start on Tuesday night for me as well. I think we can't concede. We can't concede away from home in a hostile environment like that. I would, for the next match, play a 4-2-3-1 formation with Saka on the bench, Havertz as a 9, and Jesus at right wing. And Partey, Rice, and Odegaard in midfield against Sevilla is a must. And that's what I've been calling for against the better teams, the top six in the Premier League. Play Partey, Rice, and Odegaard in midfield. And if you need to, Rice has that intelligence to play the double pivot with Partey. So, anything else we want to mention, Stan or Alonso?
No, not really.
Okay. We pretty much covered everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for joining. Alonso, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Good to see you, Stan.
Stan, thanks for joining me.
You're welcome, mate. Good to chat.
All right. Good chat. Good discussion. We grabbed a smash and grab. That's what it was. Smash and grab. Declan Rice, the smash. Trossard, the grab. Take care, everyone. We will see you on the next one on Thursday night for him. Take care, everyone. Come on, you Gunners.
See you later.
Going to Europe.